At the lowest point of his career, Avery was desperate and made an extremely unpopular decision. He used a technicality in the rules to hold his trio, Saf and Stretch, hostage,
which meant that they were going to be forced to play together for the next FNCS, or we would have Stretch and Saf not play FNCS at all.
At the start of Season 7, Saf and Stretch had split with Avery. They simply did not get along. At the time, this was fine. Avery would join Bugha and Nosh. But just a few days before FNCS, in perhaps the most controversial snakening ever, Bugha split with Avery and Nosh to join the defending champions Day and Miro. This was the culmination of Avery's complicated relationship with Bugha. Depending on how you count it, this would be the third or fourth time Bugha had split with him. Even though he was an FNCS champion and a remarkably consistent player, his relationship with Bugha was beginning to define his career. So left without a viable trio, he invoked this crazy rule that would technically force Saf and Stretch to play with him. At the start of 2021, Epic Games introduced a rule that would automatically qualify players who finished in the top 3 in Grand Finals to the next Grand Finals. Avery, Saf, and Stretch had done this and were qualified to the Season 7 Grand Finals. There was one catch to the rule though. To disband a trio and to give up the spot, Epic required all 3 players to agree. If just one player did not agree, the trio could not disband. Avery said he would not sign the disband form, effectively holding Saf and Stretch's FNCS hostage. All hell broke loose. Saf and Stretch immediately replied by saying they would rather not play than be held hostage.
Stretch then went on to say, if I'm still not able to disband our team or figure out anything in the next coming weeks, then I'll end up streaming all Cash Cups and hopefully Zate plays with us and we stream.
This did not deter Avery.
I'm just lost getting snaked by Bugha once again after one Cash Cup. LOL.
But Bugha eventually bowed to pressure and every original trio was reformed. In FNCS, Bugha, Nosh, and Avery placed 8th, and Bugha left Avery for the final time, joining with Miro and beginning a 3-peat. On the heels of this controversy, Avery would struggle, missing Grand Royale finals and placing top 10 only once in the next 4 FNCS. Shocking for a former champion who was basically a lock for top 5. So it seemed like a storied but underrated career was nearing its end. That is, until he teamed up with Commandment, who was another legend in the midst of his own odyssey. Commandment burst onto the scene in the World Cup solos, qualifying in week 1 and placing 20th. He would go on to qualify for 3 out of the first 5 FNCS Grand Finals, his best placement being a 4th in squads. In Stark's season, he formed with an iconic trio Scented and Edgy, and for the next 4 seasons, they were possibly the best team on the region, with Commandment becoming a lock for an epic solo clutch every FNCS. But there was just one problem. Chapter 2 Season 4 Grand Finals, 2nd place. Chapter 2 Season 5 Grand Finals, 2nd place. Chapter 2 Season 6 Grand Finals, 2nd place. Chapter 2 Season 7 Grand Finals, 2nd place.
Are you getting it?
Falling twice to Miro's trio, and the 2nd place curse was clearly beginning to weigh heavily because he and Scented split with Edgy to play with Stretch for Season 8 FNCS and Grand Royale, a trio with godlike expectations, but placed 4th and 6th. He would duo with Stretch for the first 2 FNCSs in Chapter 3, but it was clear Stretch was in a different phase of his career. Very frustrated with the state of Fortnite and falling out of love with the game. This mentality would affect them slowly. 8th in Chapter 3 Season 1 FNCS, then all at once, they placed 50th, dead last. In Chapter 3 Season 2, a humiliation for 2 of the greatest players the region has ever seen. Stretch retired, but Commandment needed to find out if he had one more in him.
Got another run?
I got one more in me.
You got one more in you?
One more run in me.
Avery and Commandment were 2 players who seemed to be at the end of the road and decided to take a gamble on each other. Their decision to team up did not come with hype or fanfare. The world would soon come to know that their story was not over. They both had greatness left. This is the story of the incredible Chapter 3 Season 3 FNCS and the unlikely duo that saved their careers. An iconic tournament that all came down to one incredible moment and one single point. In the summer of 2022, Chapter 3 Season 3 dropped. The theme was Vibin'. If you're a Tier 1 Viber, make sure to like, sub, and use code WeClutchUp in the Fortnite item shop. It was a fun but forgettable season. Lots of IP tie-ins, including Indiana Jones and Darth Vader. POIs that would change their theme each game. A pirate theme, a neo-futuristic theme, and others. The austere Command Cavern became the Rave Cave. Good vibes indeed. A competitive meta that most viewed as a step in the right direction, but was held back by two things: the longing for the old shotgun, and still a present but reduced spray meta because of the Stinger SMG. The shotgun meta was decent, the striker pump, the auto shotgun, and the often ignored two-shot shotgun. Aside from the DMR, which would make its first of many appearances this season, the AR meta was inspired. The popular and versatile Hammer AR was released, and the Striker Burst, which was very effective for getting Storm Surge. Overall, Fortnite competitive was in a weird holding pattern. People could not decide whether to be fearful or hopeful about the future of the game. Competitive viewership was in a slow decline. But that May, Fortnite announced the FNCS Global Invitational, the first major LAN since the World Cup. This not only created a ton of hype, but raised the stakes of each subsequent FNCS, because Epic did not make it clear how qualifying worked, but players needed to push for a top FNCS placements blindly. Despite this decline in interest, there were amazing storylines all throughout 2022, and some incredible teams would be competing on NA East Grand Final. Kanata was still seeking his first win, and he and his duo Agers seemed as good of a shot as any, as their drop, Greasy Grove, was the only one with a functioning car, giving them a leg up on rotations. Peterbot, after a year of hype, had finally arrived. He and his duo Byla were the reigning FNCS champions after ending Bugha and Miro's bid for a 4-peat. But in the lead up to Grand Finals, they had been pretty forgettable. After an unsuccessful run with his duo Day, Clix teamed up with Dukes. In the lead up to Grand Finals, they had been good but not great. Like we say, hope springs eternal for Clix and his fans. And with Duke, who was a 2-time FNCS champion, there was a lot to be optimistic about. Pamstu and Fatch were one of the longest tenured duos left on NA, starting their run in the second FNCS of 2021. Fatch's career went all the way back to the Solo World Cup, where he finished 10th. And Pamstu, an uber consistent player with one major peak, his win in the Solo All-Stars tournament in 2021. A super underrated duo, looking to break through and win finally. Bugha and Miro's FNCS win streak had been broken in Chapter 3 Season 2, ending at 3, but they were still a force to be reckoned with. Their pedigree was insane. They knew how to win, and were incredibly talented.
Very regularly, we see them throughout the regular season not try that hard, seem to not really care that much, and then show up big for Grand Finals.
Going into Grand Finals, absent another clear contender, they were the tournament favorites. Commandment and Avery were entering the tournament with some momentum, 26th, 7th, and 4th in Cash Cups, proving they had chemistry, a strong drop in the south side of Rave Cave, and a clear, reinvigorated passion for the game. They were ready to write a new chapter. It was a wide open field, and anything could happen. With almost $700,000 in prize money, an undetermined amount of land spots, and legacy on the line, let the tournament begin.
But without further ado, let's get right into it.
Starting with Miro, who absolutely cooks a player in mid-game,
Take a look at this. You walk into the box and you're gonna get punished.
and keeps rolling.
These are placement points. He has jumped up to 12 points on his own here. He can look for another one. That's 2 for the finish. There it is.
Peterbot and Byla kicked off an amazing day 1. Commandment makes plays in endgame before going down, as Agers and Kanata get the first win of the tournament.
Players just walking everything.
No way.
Nico gets one knock, but Agers, he's there.
Straight into endgame where Clix makes plays.
Goes straight to water. Clicks. Rude Awakening. Oh, they want to play a fight down below. He can edit and go for these walls in a safe fashion. That's exactly what he'll do, and he'll find him. But unfortunately, going for a placement is going to be an answer. They won't have second response here. He'll peep around the bushes as well, finds a player. Shotgun there. It's going to be D-Gen, who had height before. Look at how destiny has changed.
Bugha and Miro keep rolling.
Oh my God.
Refreshers here. Miro gets one and then fights on the second. It's Casker. He gets the full finish as well.
In game 3, not much happened except Bugha and Miro had another strong game.
The odds were against them, and they still picked up 13. And I was like, you know, it's still looking good for them. That was still well played. And look at this. We have a little bit more.
Peterbot has to cook in a 1v2.
And now the trade comes in. Peterbot gets 1 for the exchange, and the other team is very lit. Can he find Teo? Yes, he can. Gets the 2 for 1, but loses Byla in the process.
Casker gets a hauntingly beautiful lag elimination.
Puts up a good defensive chance to fight back, but
Clix takes out Peterbot.
Choices they can make. The news they have on how people are moving. I mean, Clix and Duke won't have that. There is a mosh pit going down in Shifty Shafts. Look at the amount of teams in Clix's way.
Kanata and Agers, who were in first, go down early.
watch this elimination go down one more time. Our number 1 team here. We knew they had to fight. We knew it was looking pretty desperate.
This would be the peak of their tournament as they would fall to 5th. Commandment solo clutches, which was some nice foreshadowing, as Fatch and Pamstu burst onto the scene, winning a game from height, and the leaderboard started to take shape. Straight to game 5, where Commandment takes out Booga.
They're making this absolute torture for these ground teams.
Oh my God,
Commandment, up close and personal. What a shot.
Fatch cooks as a solo before going down, and the broadcast says the magic word.
Fatch clutches up to a 2nd place and some elims along the way. Meanwhile,
He and Pamstu take 1st. Booga takes out Scented and Cold.
oh, excuse me, Booga here is going to find Cold there in the feed. You get to watch it back one more time on how 7Z falls and Cold as well. It's to the hands of Booga. He finds him there.
Dukes makes plays as a solo.
What's interesting is Miro finding more eliminations. They have played for high ground. Panther's going to fall to the hands of Macwood there, but it's just a knock. Can he get saved? No, he cannot. Reds gets the finish there.
Fatch was the one who was actually in major trouble. Duke's the one who hasn't been having the most amount of clutches on the day. He survives a lot of placement though.
Booga goes down, but Miro cooks.
Just destroyed on the rotate there. Ramiro turns around, finds another one, finds a 2nd as well with the knocked body there, and he is still earning points here, not giving up by any means. Miro once again left to clutch up right now. He's got a body in the storm as well, so he will get to max HP here in just a couple moments if this full finish comes through. But he's down to 2 material, down to 2 builds, 162. He's on the heels of our #1 team, Peterbot and Milo, who are up top. A huge one shot there, but no, he's exposed. Into the storm he goes. It's only a matter of time. Down goes Miro.
Avery and Commandment, who have been quiet but consistent, look to break back into the top 10 as Peterbot and Bilo win the final game of day 1, the peak of their tournament, taking a lead into what would become a magical day 2, where basically every game would bring a new first place team. Fatch and Pamstu push for first by taking out Peter and Bilo.
3rd place on the walls of our 1st place team. Fatch with the opener for Peterbot the trade, and Pamstu clutches up.
Miro takes out Clicks before going down. The broadcast points out Commandment is in his natural habitat of solo clutching,
Sid up top.
Commandment, star player, up inside his natural habitat.
but gets taken out by Fatch, who goes down after a last stand, enough to take back first. Avery and Commandment maintain their steady push up the leaderboard. Booga and Miro get a golden opportunity when Fatch goes down, but Booga goes down soon after, then Miro after a solid but unremarkable game. Dukes is absolutely cooking in endgame.
Cease on height. Duke will hold it down here, and now it's his to win.
He and Clicks win from height and leap into the top 5.
Fight back, offense will win. In the end, Clicks hits the shot, and he hits the other
With just
two.
4 games left in a tightly packed top 10, the possibilities for this tournament were endless. Hamster and Fatch go down early after being caught in a sketchy storm fight.
Fatch actually hit a huge shot right now. He might have just taken out the player down low. He does. Teo is hurt. Pump is now left with nothing. It was close, but not close enough. As Pump finished it off for a moment there, I thought he was going to be able to do it.
Avery and Commandment heat up, taking height. Booga and Miro, who have taken first, battle with Acorn and Edgy.
Big fight for first. Miro is hurt. No heals on the other side. The peanut butter edit was great. Acorn fakes him out, and down he goes. But the body picked up to height, so someone else is taking home the loot.
Then keep cooking.
They're just otherworldly, and I love the fact that Booga instantly goes for the win as soon as he sees Miro go down, right?
Booga takes out his former teammate Avery. Commandment responds by taking out Miro. As Booga takes height in an endgame that devolved into a chaotic battle of 4 solos, leading to an epic 1v1.
In this game.
You couldn't ask for better. Solos in the Cold continues to earn his stripes. Down goes Commandment. Cold versus Booga. The Cold comes in. Booga will get crushed.
Booga wins.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Commandment and Avery jump to 3rd as Booga and Miro take a healthy lead. With a chance to put the tournament away, Booga and Miro go down early, opening the door once again for chaos. Peter and Bila go down early, which was the story of day 2 for them. They would fall to 6th, which opens the door for first. Fatch makes plays.
Go Fatch still somehow surviving. From the 4th zone all the way up to now and takes a big shot. Huge shot.
Clicks and Dukes too.
Old builds. Spray all the way. Who was that? I think he can't do much at all. Has to stay crouched here too, so he won't be able to gain up with the speed. Not able to be able to even see his feet for the moment. Make it. He's gonna go right towards the zone.
But Avery and Commandment close a game masterfully. Avery winning it on a slick height take for the first time, but not the last time. Commandment and Avery take first, by just 1 point. In a quick detour from the main story, here's Cold absolutely toasting a team in a 1v2.
Happy about that one. Here comes the follow-up. Down goes Donnie as well.
Game 11 had another iconic endgame where Bugha and Miro are going elim for elim with Commandment and Avery, trading first place back and forth. But Commandment goes down to Surge, followed by Avery.
Avery's by himself. He is barely above the Surge. Jeffrey Nyamzo push in, and down goes Avery. He is very, very hurt. Pulled in, fights back, but not.
With Bugha down, Miro solo clutches, even taking out Fatch.
And Fatch falls to Miro. Miro finds another one. He is starting to break away here.
4 eliminations, taking that first place spot straight towards the sky.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Bugha and Miro take the lead, setting up a legendary final game.
Giddy up! All right.
Game 12 starts with Miro nearly being shot out of the sky. Avery goes down with 56 players remaining, leaving Commandment as a solo.
Save
But
Avery
he
for
gets
good
to
in
work.
this tournament, and we are asking him to win this game and possibly overcome his threats, and he does at least that. He finds the elimination against all odds.
At the start of the game, it's a 3-horse race. Commandment as a solo, and both Bugha and Miro and Pamstu and Fatch intact as duos. Bugha and Miro go down early, opening the door for Commandment, who needs just 20 points to overtake them. The broadcast puts it perfectly.
A top 5 performance will be enough for Commandment here, but he has to clutch up.
With 0 mats, he does this.
Moving to the zone.
Right there.
One player to
That's
110.
one.
Huge taken out, but he's to the body. 2 from Commandment. 3 elims, and he's grabbed a few mats. Up the Walkers and Shadows up on top of his build. Up to 305 points. He's 6 away.
Literally several placements separate him, and he has broken away from Fashion Company. Fashion Pamps have to win the game. Commandment literally needs more elims. There is no difference between the two. There is only an opportunity here now for Commandment.
No match.
This is it. No match. The edit comes in. He hits the shot. I cannot believe he survived. But will there be enough placement points there?
Completing one of Fortnite's greatest moments.
God!
But it was not over, because Fatch and Pamstu won the final game and possibly the tournament. The world had to wait to see how the top 3 actually shook out.
Shown up from the last place to the first. Will they be able to win the final game here now and get another one? It's all down to you, Fatch. Hit the shot that matters. Here it is, and they do it in the end.
Commandment had done it. His team down with 56 players left, won by just 1 point. After so much disappointment, failure, and betrayal, Commandment and Avery were on top of the world.
I got the pickaxe. Get in my lobby.
They had won perhaps the greatest FNCS the region had ever seen. Even sweeter, had done it by beating Bugha and Miro. Avery even broke the record for the longest span between championships, 982 days. They would qualify to the Invitational and even win a game, finishing in a respectable 11th. Avery would retire after the Invitational. Commandment would go on to play one more FNCS in 2024, placing 44th before retiring. In hindsight, assuming Bugha and Miro were already qualified, 3 new trios would make the Invitational. Commandment and Avery, Pamstu and Fatch, and after his best ever FNCS placement, 4 Clicks and Dukes would qualify as well. Confucius said, "Our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall." Avery and Commandment's FNCS win is so memorable because it touched this eternal truth. Like, sub, and check out our other videos.